Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns and Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we're going to be talking about the spell True Resurrection. The ultimate resurrection spell.
The true resurrection. It can revive not really anything, but some things.
Everything.
You would think that for it being 9th level.
And 25,000 gold.
It's not cheap.
No.
It's a little bit expensive. It costs a little bit of
again, with every gold piece spell, we need to have the caveat that it might be expensive.
It also might be free.
It depends on the economy of your table.
I would think if you're at 17th level and 25,000 gold is a big ask, I don't know what's happening, because I feel like you should be able to exert your will over governments and take over thieves guilds and be like, yeah, no, that dragon's our bitch and we have his hoard just at our disposal of 500,000 gold pieces or whatever. But that's again, it could be a different table and you're like, no, the gold doesn't exist in this world. Everyone here is deeply communist and the whole of the society doesn't believe in ownership. And okay, gold costs are impossible.
We haven't learned Wall of Stone yet.
Exactly, that kind of thing. This is
how many animal pelts is that?
Oh my god. True Resurrection. Oh man. Okay, so I think it's important to note that there are not many resurrection spells, but there are a few, and they are Revivify, Resurrection, Reincarnate, and True Resurrection. Those are the ones that jump to my mind whenever I think about bringing people back to life.
And True Resurrection.
Yeah. Yes. These 4 spells do basically the same thing 99.9% of the time, which is bring somebody who just died back to life. With the differences being the gold cost gets increasingly more and more expensive unless you use Reincarnate, which is way more fun. Which it still costs 1,000 gold, but it's still way cooler than the rest of them, in my personal opinion. But it's also the best one. So True Resurrection, like the upsides you're supposed to be getting, because you're bringing back anyone that has not been dead for more than 200 years that didn't die of old age. That is, soul is free and willing. And you don't have to touch them. You can just know their name and then create a new body for them.
Yeah.
So hypothetically, you can use this to bring anyone that's died anywhere that you know of that was died of non-natural causes back to life safely. Conceivably.
I mean,
now you have to ask.
Sounds like a lot of fun, actually.
But they can always say no, right? They can be like, no, I like being dead. If you compare this to Resurrection requires you touch the body, so you have to have some bit of them left. And this is a 7th level slot, but it otherwise does basically the same thing and implies some penalties to them until they take a bunch of long rests. The penalties are stupid and dumb, and I hate that's the reason it's there, because Revivify, the 3rd level version of this that is probably better in almost every instance, doesn't have any of those penalties. But Resurrection, I would say, is going to basically function as a 2 spell levels lower version of True Resurrection 99% of the time you're casting this.
I mean, Revivify, you only got a minute though, right?
Yeah, with Revivify, you have to do it within a minute of the creature dying. I think
you're probably around when it happens for the people that you care about.
For the other players in the party, you probably are going to be there when they die. And like, let's say worst case scenario, you prepare Gentle Repose for some reason. You could do that to hold them for however long you need to and then revivify them later. So like, I don't know. I think the 99% of the time, whenever you want to revive somebody, they just died. 99% of the time, whenever you want to bring someone back to life that is deceased, they haven't been deceased for very long. You probably watched it happen, and some awful rolls are compiled with a bunch of like really taxing, grueling encounters. That's whenever you would want to use this.
All those spells you can cast Gentle Repose on them.
Yeah.
Until you get Revivify available.
Yeah. So your options become like have access to 7th level and higher magic, or use Revivify. And one of those seems a lot more optimal than the others, especially because this one only costs 300 gold and the rest costs like 1,000 plus.
Yeah, well, I mean, like you said at the beginning, the gold price probably isn't going to make the difference.
True.
The question is, when do you want to use True Resurrection?
When you're out of 3rd level spell slots. I don't know.
I'm thinking you use it as a story device. You use it on an NPC who's been dead like 150 years.
Yeah, but like, so I guess what you do is, because resurrection is within a century. So like you have to nitpick and be like, nah, that person died not 70 years ago, but 180 years ago. And that's the difference here. So I guess it's just a narrative tool, because that's the only real reason you would want to use True Resurrection, right? The difference of a century and 200
I didn't realize
is,
Resurrection went back a century.
yeah.
I think that goes back 10 years or something. If you want to add these things on, or True Resurrection goes back 1,000 years, something,
or even
make it or indefinitely, whatever.
Yeah, indefinite. I would make it indefinite. I would make the creature always come back regardless if they want to or not. And I would remove the fact that they can't have died of natural causes. Like, let this be a 9th level, you bring anyone back to life.
Oh man,
for 25,000.
How much fun would it be if they didn't want to come back?
Exactly. And that's definitely the realm of spell we're talking about here when we're looking at 9th level slots. When you're competing with Wish, you have it's a very tall order. And we're saying this is probably worse than the 3rd level spell. So like, don't love that. There will be some instances where someone will get disintegrated, and I believe a disintegrated creature can only be brought back by True Resurrection, if at all. So there's that upside if you're playing against things
certainly not natural causes.
Yes. So that is a reason, I guess. If you, for some reason, like if you can't get to the body and it gets removed from existence or like taken away from you or whatever, and you can't get to it, or you can't like get their hand or something. But even then, like I would just use Reincarnate, because you only need a part of them. So like, cut off their hand before you leave. I don't know. If they get mostly eaten by something, grab a fingernail and do it Reincarnate. Reincarnate's one of my favorite spells in the game, just because it randomizes your character a little bit, and it's only a 5th level, so it's like kind of the middle ground between all these options.
I don't like that though. I mean, when I've taken my character that high, I've built them intentionally. I don't want them to turn into a frog or something.
It's always you're always getting a humanoid race.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's a fun wrench that I like to be thrown in on my characters, but I definitely get there are a lot of people that don't want that. I'm also the kind of person, though, that I don't mind if my character dies. I kind of like rolling up new characters at the table and bringing in fresh new builds and ideas and stuff and trying them. Like, I have got a billion characters in my head that I always want to be playing, because I'm constantly DMing. So dying is an opportunity more than anything else, especially if it's like a cool narrative death. But for the people that really love their characters, Reincarnate probably just doesn't work for you. A lot of the time you're like, no, I commissioned this art. I intend this character to be a 20 level game. We came to the understanding that this is definitely that kind of game where we're playing our characters that we fell in love with for 20 levels. For those people, Reincarnate isn't an option. I definitely think it's the most fun one still. But again, I also like my character is now a halfling that wasn't an orc, and I have to deal with that problem. That's a fun problem for me to figure out, right? But like, none of these are worse than True Resurrection. All of these options, regardless of which one you pick, it's going to be better than True Resurrection. True Resurrection, like I will say, as far as cleric 9th level spells go, they don't have the greatest selection. You're looking at like Gate, Astral Protection, and Mass Heal. I think Mass Heal is surprisingly the best of the bunch, because it's just 700 hit points wherever you want them. Yeah. And that's pretty high impact sometimes. But you're probably honestly better off upcasting like Conjure Celestial or other powerful things. Even stuff like Firestorm is going to be probably better for your 9th level slot than True Resurrection is. So yeah,
if you need a Firestorm, yes.
Yeah.
If you need a Resurrection, then probably not.
Yeah, that's to say, like,
counterproductive.
Sure. It's probably nice that like you have True Resurrection, because you're a prepared caster as a cleric. You never have to prepare this until you have the hour to sit down and do it, right? So it doesn't really hurt you that it exists. Yeah, it's true. You got centuries to wait before you need to cast this. So just having access to it all the time, yeah, sure, it doesn't really hurt. I wish there were better 9th level cleric options, just because wizards are so much more powerful than this. But yeah, It's innocent enough. It's probably worse than every other resurrection option available, but it does, in that one time you need to get that person that died 150 years ago back to life for some reason, and you don't have their body, or your, bard gets horrifically eaten a whole by the Tarrasque, and you really want to play with that character again. Then yeah, you got true resurrection.
All right. Yeah, that's true resurrection. You got a Sam score?
I really want to give this a 1, but there's just enough tables that would want the effect that it's a 2. There will be, though, that once in a campaign, your paladin dies and they loved their character more than life itself, and you're willing to spend 25 grand and come bring them back, and this costs you so little to do it that it's fine.
Yeah, I give it a middle of the road 3. Just because it's the bringing back that 180-year-old guy, just, I mean, even like, this has to be something that the DM plans, or else it's not going to work.
In which case, it shouldn't be a spell, right? This should just be like a magic item that exists in the DMG.
That's absolutely true. However, I like the whole scenario, and you could be like amazed, looking around. Whoa! What are all these walls of stone? New technology.
I'm envisioning the way Bob would use this is you bring back someone from before the time of Wall of Stone just to impress them with your Wall of Stone. That's what you want this for. It all comes back to Wall of Stone with you.
Wagon wheels. Whoa.
The innovations of modern tech, and it's just a commoner, just some like random guy that was murdered whenever he was like mugged on the road.
There's fun times to be had.
Sure.
All right. That was True Resurrection. Thank you, Sam, and thank you everyone for joining us. We will see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it. A gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.